Hey, everybody. This is me and Chris and George. And we're going to look at Chris Raven playing against, I believe, the strongest.
Yeah, one of the strongest.
Go AI presently. And he's playing at 4 stones and winning a little less than half the time. This is one of his wins. And I thought it'd be good to look from the perspective of, so it's like, in my mind, it's like there's all these players and they would be demolished at 4 stones against Katago. So what is Chris doing to produce the win? That's kind of the perspective I'm looking at. And I've gone through the game and it's like, yeah, right on track all the way through. And one thing that's tough is it was close.
Oh yeah, at the end it was very close. I actually there was one spot where I almost played a connection in the end game reflexively that would have, if white had the punishment, immediately lost the game for me on the spot. It would have reversed it like 30 points. If this is the game I'm thinking, which I think it is, it was in the top right corner. There was a cut. And I almost connect 2 stones instead of fixing that cut. And white has, if white plays the cut, white has forced Seki in that situation.
We'll take a look when we get there. So one question overall is, where did you lose value? You know, how did white catch up? And then secondly, how did you maintain an advantage? So here we go. All looks normal so far. As obvious as it is, this knight's move is such a strong, pleasant, patient. I mean, nothing but positive in my mind. Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing about handicap games, if you create a situation that's very heavily focused on tactics and your opponent is better at reading you than you, it's usually going to end up being a better result for them.
Yeah.
Even if objectively the result is better for you. So my plan in the opening was to just navigate the positions in a way where I'm not playing any pincers or anything super aggressive against Katago. I don't want it to lead it into having an initiative. I want it to have to try to manufacture something where I can just do one thing at a time and like just consistently prioritize the big place with defense.
Okay. So 2 things about this kick. One is you went high and low, which seems natural. Would you say that this is inappropriate?
Yeah, it's a bit flat.
Okay. Now, it seems to me that A and B are so far apart that as long as you don't attempt to take that area, I can't see it as a negative.
So locally, it's fine. The problem is in handicap games above 3 stones, your opponent having really strong center play tends to be a big advantage for white. And when you play double low like this, you leave yourself open to the presses at Q13 and Q7, which allow white to develop at the center naturally. If white gets a strong position in the middle of the board, it's going to be very easy for white to invade other areas or attack a lot more fiercely later in the game. So part of the reason I choose to kick and go high instead of finishing low here is just to have some semblance of contest with white in the center later when white presses black down.
Yeah. Okay. So I understand.
So then it has nothing to do with the inefficiency of both stones being low. It has more to do with white not being able to press you down.
Yeah. A is preventing getting pressed in all corners. Like this way, at least I have some ease of access to the center.
Oh, Okay, let me repeat that one. You might be saying that it's not just you have 3 low stones, and you're thinking, if I don't get into the center somewhere, that's trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the efficiency on the right, not a problem. But you have nothing in the center. That's a problem. And white can do all the forcing moves and everything. Okay, makes sense.
So then if you had a position somewhere else where you were able to get into the center, if you had some 4th line stone, then you might well consider playing, say, Q6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be a little bit more of a debate for me if I had another high stone somewhere else.
Yeah. And do you particularly see a problem with playing high?
Not necessarily, no.
Not necessarily, yeah. Okay. Just the low knights move is just so darn stable. Okay.
Mhm.
So here. A lot of times in my videos, I try to get across this idea that we play according to special characteristics.
Mhm.
So on this board, I see a few special characteristics. One is that black can now attack 2 groups at once.
Yep.
This is nice.
Mhm.
On the other hand, we're playing someone who handles attacks profoundly well. So that wouldn't necessarily be my first choice, although it seems fine. Next, you have something easier. I'm going to take some corner profit and attack more severely. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Just use the support network that I have already.
Yeah. So one last look at something that is not an issue. Black could play at C. Hey, I'm going to invade down there and take those points away. Yeah, but that doesn't defend anything or attack anything. It's just some points.
Yeah. It also leaves my corner open.
Right.
White's going to opt, like, white's not just going to, if I play, we could look at that actually. Because one of the things that, like I see like Q players do when they see Don players play this, they just kind of assume that this will come. And this result might come. But the problem is, anytime you try to do this against a stronger player, their first instinct is going to be one of 2 things. They're either going to play some move like this or like this and separate you. And then their next play is going to be to break the corner at A. And now you've got a really big complication on your hands. Or they're going to give you the 1 exchange. And then when you think you're going to get this Joseki doesn't come. They immediately play in the 3-3 point. And then you feel really sad. And it's actually quite hard to handle this if you're not tactically proficient. Like mid-Don level higher can probably handle okay. But like I've seen 3-Don players and below who have never seen this before mess this up completely.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get turned around in a situation like this and sort of lose the thread of what should I be focused on? What should I be doing? So one of the reasons I choose not to invade here is because this is going to give Kata what Kata wants quickly, which is a fight. That's the fastest way for white to gain the advantage is if white can fight on his own terms.
Yeah. Now, a few things. One, black A takes advantage of white's weakness. This black move takes advantage of white's weakness. This one, white's not weak. So to me, that's the difference between issues and just normal moves.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think generally, and this is good for, I think, like high SDK players, even some like lower SDK players. I think if you're already considering a move like C in your handicap games as black, I would recommend instead to just Hana Connect. Because in handicap game, there's almost no reason to invade it, eh? At least at 4 stones. So it's usually going to be better to clear your own Aji. Anyway.
So last thing I want to bring up, in particular for the mid Q players, when they have a group like A, 3 white stones on the bottom, there's a group.
Mhm.
They don't think about walking away.
Hmm.
They think I must maintain.
Right, like the semblance of
I must
the
maintain
position.
this. No, you don't. You can say I have an A group that I can easily give up. It's only, let's call it 15 points
Mhm.
if he plays 3 more moves. Or I can run out. I can treat everything lightly here. I can do whatever I want with my stones. I'm not committed to them. And
Yeah.
they just don't think that way.
Yeah, it's because I think they have this habit, and I think partly this is like older Go literature contributes to this thought process. They treat this K4 white group as the same as if white's K4 stone was at K3. And usually when that stone is on the third line, you're going to prioritize saving that group because you have the base already. But this group is not about living stably on the side. This position specifically is all about flexibility and movement. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Okay. Third line, I have a base
Hmm.
strongly suggesting I want this group.
Hmm.
Fourth line, I don't want a base. How come? Because I want to be flexible here and move in any direction I want. And now that I'm fourth line, I'm out harder to attack. It just all makes sense to, treat it lightly. Yeah.
Right. So like fundamentally the groups are different, but people learn them as the same thing. A lot of teachers are like, oh, third line, fourth line doesn't matter. Well, there's a very big difference
Yeah.
between the
Totally
two.
Yeah.
And like the sooner that,
So,
two players learn, it's not about point, space, or territory when you play on the fourth line. It's about control, the center, movement, and lightness, then
Yeah.
the easier it becomes to play the say group and not look at it the wrong way. You were gonna ask a question?
George?
yeah, so why would you play at M2 and then not follow up after white's next move? I mean, that concept to me seems to be kind of like an asking move type thing. But
Sure.
I imagine that white doesn't really have much choice other than to play that move at M3.
Okay, so let's take a look at it actually. I don't want to derail too much, but actually anytime black comes in, there's always 2 choices. There's choice A and choice B because black is threatening to go 2 different ways. So black either wants to cut you and start a fight, or black wants to connect underneath at B, for example, something like this, to remove the Aji in the corner. This will turn off the 3/3 invasion. White is always going to prioritize what to do here based on the whole board situation. The second black plays M2, and even before then, there's already not a lot of territory here on the bottom side for either player. So white isn't married to the idea of adding stones here because the area is not super valuable. White's only going to be interested in blocking the valuable direction.
Nice.
So if white thinks the corner is bigger, which in this case it would be, white is going to be much more inclined to want to start this fight and give away the K4 stone. This stone is a very expensive stone to capture. It's on the 4th line. It's on the same line, almost faster than black to center. It has a lot of room. It's going to take black how many different moves to completely surround the stone? At least 3.
Yeah.
Right? And for all of black's trouble, there's still Aji.
Yeah,
It's
still
not
Aji.
worth it.
Yeah.
So white always has the choice. Like I said, with this position, it's always a matter of direction for white. White wants to be moving in the biggest place, the most valuable area. White doesn't want to hunker down unless building a group here is the best thing. Like white will build a group when this wall is useful to white. When white can use that wall efficiently, white will build the wall. But if the wall is not useful, white will never make the wall. White will always switch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully
Good.
that cleared up any misconceptions about that position.
So I can imagine some key players thinking, oh my God, will they ever stop talking about this? But for strong players, it's like the depth of understanding of this A group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm going to ramble a little bit here. If you play a 15Q player and he starts by playing a 4/4, it's a shallow move. No power to it, no nothing. How come? Because they don't understand it. Now, Chris, I'm sure, is experienced as I have. You sit down against a professional 9-dime. They play the 4-4. It's terrifying. You can tell just the look on their face. They have profound knowledge, and you are in trouble.
Yeah.
So we're saying, what about this A group? This, that, the other. How? So it's like we want to understand it on a deep level.
Right.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
As I've faced this, and I don't know the right way, I found myself playing this a lot.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to say why before you, because I'm asking you about this move.
Of course.
One, I like this move because, well, if black comes out, there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, I can do a lot of things here. And the 3-3 is completely open, seems to me. So tell me about this move. Control if you need it.
Yeah, so I don't see it too often. Typically, it's kind of the same as if you kick it N2 and go in the corner anyway. Usually, whenever I've seen this move come, the way that we sort of analyze the shape is that these are the two main stones. So black is just going to move from the bottom one, and when white eventually comes back to the corner, like black will just extend later on out to the side somehow. Usually, black is not going to fight you for this. In which case, like, it's possible to have this, but you miss out on having a stone at A if you're going to get to the corner anyway. So it's just a question of which placement do you like better? Do you like having the white stone at A where you have more follow-up towards the bottom? Or do you like having the stone at B where you have a tighter grip at the corner? I'm not sure what like the technical evaluation difference is. I just always see A more than B. But they both look fine to me, more or less. I just think in general, black is going to treat it as, okay, I've got my bottom group, and this is going to be my running method. And then for the corner, this is the important stone. This one is going to be the one that plays a role in the rest of the game. We'll throw away P3, Q4 if we need to. And
okay.
Yeah.
Your explanation shows me that I've been playing this because I know it bothers the Q players. And, oh, I'm going to mess with them so bad. But what I should be thinking is, I'm not, the efficiency of my stones. Okay. Thank you. Very helpful. Yep. So you kick and attack. Good. I accept your move. Okay. I would assume a lot of listeners understand this move, but for those that don't, when white comes in, there's a cut here that can be really annoying. Now, perhaps white has to get some liberties first, and if black goes to kill, it's just really annoying. And so when black plays here, it removes the cut, which I would say takes the whole corner.
Yep.
On top of which, black's playing right next to this thin spot, on top of which black is building area 1. So a simple move like black's move here is doing so many things. Very valuable.
Very efficient move, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Got to save that stone. Very useful in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And notice this is maybe another place where I see Q players go wrong often, so I'll just make a small note here. J16 is a very thick and patient move, but it's very double purpose. At any purpose, or not any purpose, any point, white can invade at A. So the corner is not black's territory yet. White is going to be able to make a life if white ever comes in here. For example, some variation like this, white, whoops, not this one, block, 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 white is alive. This long L+1 is unconditional life for white, and black has a cutting point. The benefit of this is that because I have that stone there, if white ever takes the corner, I can play thick on the other side, hugging the one stone, and the cut is not really working for white anymore. I have sufficient defense on the top side to protect my area, and because I'm defended, the white position here remains thin.
Yeah.
What I see Q players often do a lot here, though, is they neglect a move like this because they're not focusing on their own weakness. They kind of salivate because they're like, oh, white's got this 2-space jump and this large knight's move. I'm going to try to cut something.
Yeah.
And well, I'll just let you sort of explain why this is maybe not the best idea.
Yeah, basically, just before you attack, you got to get ready to attack. I mean, give me a break. I mean, you see the Q players, and I see it up to 2 and 3 Don regularly. They're like, go on the attack when they have a weak. They're totally weak. It's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. Here, if black tries, there's danger.
Yeah. Now, the problem is that I do it too, and it just is so embarrassing. How could I have lost that fight? Then I go back and look, oh my God, I had no preparation whatsoever. Of course I lost the fight.
Yep.
It's the bloodlust gets to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a good move to learn from.
Yeah.
Just be patient. Especially in a handicap game, you don't have to be hurried.
Corner is about to leave. In my mind, your move here does not take the corner.
Nope.
But if white takes the corner, you're going to take the entire right side. So it's just, I'm attacking you and I don't care about my points. That's exactly what one should think.
Yep. I'm trying to
You
keep
want the
pressure and
points?
use my stone.
I would play this one.
Yes, that one would take the corner unconditionally. There's no more invasion.
Yeah.
But it's also putting zero pressure on the white group.
Yeah.
So now white gets a free hand to fix the left side or play wherever white wants. And if we can imagine white playing any type of like crowning move, like D10, for example, even though white's not taking the left side, white has nearly uncontested control of the center of the board at this point. Like black's J16 can peek into the middle. Black's Q6 peeks in a little bit, but the center is mostly dominated by white stones. Which means if the middle game has to go towards center fighting, white's going to have an advantage there. So I wanted to keep some pressure on the white groups on the right side so that I have an easier time getting into the center.
And if black just submissively plays the S6 move, then presumably white can treat that stone as Kakashi.
Yes, white will treat it as I've traded a 3rd line stone for a 2nd line stone, and I will play away from now and use the Aji of it later.
Q players tend to do this a lot because they just love kicking. But in my mind, this is terrible because anytime you kick, you leave this spot.
Yep.
On top of which we kicked in the corner, leaving one there. It's like, oh my God, the corner's 0.
Yeah. There are special cases when the kick is okay, and that's usually when the jump at 06 is sente against both sides. Unfortunately, 06 isn't sente against either of them here.
Yeah.
So this would not be, in my opinion, the appropriate case to kick. But if black had 2 weak groups that black could actually attack and threaten any kind of lethal severity with, then this is sometimes an option. But generally speaking, R7 helps white and leaves a weakness. S7 does not help white, and there's still a weakness, but it's only 1 weakness, not 2, really.
Yeah. Okay. Boom. Boom. Very clean.
Yeah, many options for black here, but this looked like the thickest and least Aji carrying one of the 3 that I saw.
Yeah, if you try to take an extra 2 points or so, you're just giving white more center.
Yeah, that and white has the open skirt, so this one sort of removes the incentive of white to play L18.
This has become smaller, right?
Yeah.
I like seeing this move. We almost never see this Joseki, but I really like it.
Yeah, so I thought about it like what's important for black on this board at the point where white attaches and hanes. And the solution that I came up with was black really needs sente to start dealing with the center. So that's why I chose D2. It's a bit of a local concession. Later, if white gets to play like d5 or c2 or both. But even though it's like slightly locally worse, getting Sente is better for me globally here, because again, the big picture is that white is dominating the middle, and I really need to find a way to get in there at some point. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that was my thinking.
Yeah, yeah. This move I liked a lot. Whether it's appropriate is harder to say, but white loves this move.
Mm. Yeah.
And when you play it, like, it's, in my mind, it's really using this thickness. Like those three white swans on the bottom, better watch out. I don't care if you're a computer. I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, it felt strong. The difference between white h3 and black h3 is actually quite big, because the black shape in the corner, like I said, is kind of small.
Yeah.
After this move, the corner is a little bit even though I have to spend one more move. But it's not inefficient because my move also carries a follow-up. It's not slow.
Yeah.
Which is the key here.
Yeah. I think few players are like, well, how in the heck am I going to get in here? I better come in quick. And then it's just like downhill pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah, because white's going to bother the corner, get us around naturally, and then...
Now, this move, I really liked seeing it because it's a move I understand. But a lot of times it's like, oh, why'd you play that? It was so slow. Like, well, it again leaves that spot, and white is inside a black sphere. So I liked it.
Yeah, I want to try to remove as much of Katago's initiative this game as I could. If you're able to neutralize its ability to push you around and like really get you into tight tactical spots, it's actually pretty hard for, like, the AI has to catch up steadily with small incremental gains versus blowing you out in one big fight. You know, so it's just about holding on, right? If you can make it to an end game at four stones against Kata, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah. What were your thoughts here if white pushes and cuts?
So I was thinking white has a bit of a liberty shortage with the push and cut. It's been like a week or two since I played, but the main idea is that if white cuts on the empty triangle like this, first off, I can just jump to the center. But second of all, there's things like possible Atari at 1, connect at 2. White only has 3 liberties. And then because I can come in at 3 at any time, as long as the center group stays strong, this exchange has already removed the invasion of the corner, so the corner is already strong. Just me getting strong in the center naturally, making a living group, is going to force white to have to go back to fix that Dame-Zamari problem. So that was the main idea here.
Yeah.
Just sort of playing on white's own liberty shortage,
Yeah.
which is why I presume Katago jumps here instead, because if black gets the first move at m9, it's quite big.
Yeah. So I would have been quite scared. And yet, in theory, I understand, no, white's not prepared. So, white, black. That flow, that, to me, that's really scary, because white can fight and chooses to play rationally. Oh, I'm so glad he chose rational play, because if he went crazy and started to attack, I don't think I'd be able to run it through.
Yeah, it can be a little bit hard with Katago sometimes, but here I think it was a little bit more clear. Like the Dame-Zamari was really easy to see. That's why, like, if you're, maybe I'll say even up to 4-dan, they make this mistake a lot. They'll play the peep, and because they've made that exchange, they're married to the idea, oh, I must cut and fight, but they don't actually read the cut out. You can cut, but it's really bad shape. Which, if black has the stronger position, it can be really difficult to actually fight there if your shape is worse.
Yeah.
And so once black jumps to m9 in a variation like that, or gets any kind of move that gets him into the center first, you're getting surrounded and you have a liberty shortage now. So what have you actually achieved except a losing position?
Yeah.
You know, so I think white exercising patience here is the correct call, because I think any player, for the most part, above 5 down would be able to recognize, okay, if white does cut, at least for white, the fight is risky. So that gives us a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
And then it's trying to fix the Aji with 1 cent exchange before playing away.
I like that. You've been thinking the whole game, how do I get in the center/left? And I've never seen this Joseki played as black at a high level, but I've seen it talked about. And it's like, it makes such, I'm going to give away a little bit more in the center. But now, I'm sorry, in the corner, I'm going to give stuff away, but now I'm in the center. Yeah, real beneficial.
And so again, being willing to trade a little bit of the territory to prioritize what's more important on the whole board. Like, I lose a lot by losing that corner. It's not like white doesn't pick up a gain there. We wonder how white starts to close the score. That upper left corner is, going after endgame maybe is probably going to be only slightly smaller than my bottom right corner at this point. So they're almost in parity. Between the bottom side area in the corner and the bottom side, white's got a small point advantage, and I've got a point advantage in the upper right. The score territorially is already starting to get closer for white after I trade. But the problem is if I marry the cash, if I just keep all the territory in that position, then the benefit white's going to get in the center is way harder to calculate than if I trade it away.
Yeah.
It could be the difference of, okay, the corner might have been something like a 15, 20 point swing if we assume that it was black's right to take it at any point. But if white gets that whole potential in the center, that's like 50 points, easily 50 points. So it's like you have to make these sort of concessions.
Yeah. All makes sense. And then you get your corner, which is awfully nice.
Yeah.
And here's another spot I would be worried. In my head, I think, well, I know I'm fine, but I need to play everything accurately. And that's not me. I would be worried. I have 2 groups that aren't perfect yet.
Yeah. But I'm thick and white is also weak. So
yeah,
in this case, it's like white's also got to be very careful. It's not easy for white.
Right. Right. Come through, start the attack. I don't understand this move very much. I see it played all the time. Now, if white just Ataris, didn't we just hand white wonderful shape?
Partly, yes. White has somewhat okay shape. There's still a weakness at D13. So it doesn't really fix the D13 peep.
Okay.
So it's just usually the Hane is like the best way to attack the eye space. You can consider moves like B12 in some cases, or if you have a stone at like B9, you can play B11. But since I don't have anything on the second line, I just decide to squeeze with the endgame Hane and force white to make eyes in the center.
So A versus B, we're saying that A hurts the eye shape more. That's weird to me because I'm seeing eyes here.
Yeah, it's because we have the peep left over, the elephant jump. So white can't fix the cut and the peep as easily.
Okay. So the elephant eye at C is a big part of this.
Yeah.
Okay. You got your peep. Take our little area for points in life. Take our little area. And now we're in endgame. Okay.
And this is funny enough the worst part of my go.
Oh yeah.
So I am not the world's greatest endgame savant. Far from it. In fact, most games that I play on online Go servers, endgame is repeatedly the bane of my existence, according to AI. Like Katago will give me good marks in the opening, good marks in the middle game, and then by the time I look at my endgame graph, it's usually the orange instead of green, which is bad. Yeah. But I spent a lot of time in this game really prioritizing the counting in endgame to make sure that I wasn't losing as much as I could. And I still make some mistakes, but I think I played the endgame better than I usually did, which for me is a good thing. You know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's model play for the endgame, but it's
right.
not the worst play I've ever seen in my life.
For myself, on the one hand, my end game is great. I really enjoy end game, and I just always take extra points. On the other hand, when I do it at a high level, it's different. Playing at a high level for me is very hard work. So as I'm finishing up, like I'm playing a 7-dan, we're getting to the end game, I get very emotional. You know, oh, look at me, I'm playing this 7-dan and the game's even. I'm so excited. I can't think rationally.
Yeah.
I always lose like 2 to 3 points in in-game and lose by 2 to 3 points. Oh, it makes me so frustrated.
Yeah, it's like
it's emotional to me. I don't know about most players, but to me it's very emotional.
Yeah, it's definitely emotional to me when I lose because of endgame. I don't know if it's emotional during the endgame, but it certainly is emotional after the fact.
Yeah.
Like I remember around here, one of the biggest things I was trying to calculate, and this is often a very difficult thing for many players, the value of spending a step here at the center versus taking one of the edge end games. And I think here I was counting the value of a black move or white move around B8, move around N18, a move around like the S6 area, and this move in the center were sort of the big four I was looking at.
Okay, name them again. I think you said D8.
I said B as in boy 8. So
D8.
the second line goes to me. N18, the jump on the top side.
N18.
Yeah. S6.
S6.
And then the move that was played in the game, which was the one I ultimately ended up choosing. So these were like sort of the 4 really big endgame points. I was trying to figure out the difference of which one was bigger. And AI said I actually messed up here. I was supposed to play B. So apparently B is the biggest right now. But this is often hard to judge. When is a move like B bigger than one of these second line endgame moves?
Yeah.
Because these second line endgame moves are tricky. They're bigger than they look.
Yeah.
Like a Q player might look at C or A and go, "Oh, that might only be like 2 or 3 points."
2 or 3 points. It's like no.
Yeah, no, it's like closer to 8. It's like, you know, in a lot of these cases, it's like 7 or 8 points. Sometimes it's more if it's reverse sente, and so it's like,
if you can get it for free, 2 points for free, and then I got 2 points for free, and then I got 3 points for free. Oh my god, that's why I like endgame.
Yeah, and so it's like can be really difficult to calculate when is taking Gote in the center with a move like B actually going to be bigger than a move that looks smaller like B, but is like more territory for both sides.
Yeah.
So in this case, I choose wrong. B was slightly bigger, but D was the next best choice. So I was almost there.
I've told you the story of the first pro I ever played, Karuo Iwamoto. And as we entered in-game, I counted up, I was 35 points ahead. I could not understand why he didn't resign. Really, I'm thinking he must resign. I won by 7 points. From that day on, in-game, very important. I was 1Q at the time.
Yeah.
Strong memory.
Yeah.
Okay, so just in-game from here, and so that'll be it?
For the most part, yeah. There was the one instance at the end of the game where I almost lose on the spot.
Oh, take us there?
Yeah, so it's like really near the end here. It's even further than this. Even further than that. Even further than this. Okay. So it was here. So at this point, I'm playing out mostly. I'm having a conversation with the person who's running the Katago for me, my buddy Dallin, and we're talking, and he's like, my click to mistake button doesn't seem to be working. It's like you guys haven't really made mistakes all game, which is kind of hard to make a mistake in a 4-stone game if you play well anyway. But I almost reflexively connect here in endgame, thinking, oh, I'll just fill it and it's fine in the corner. I caught myself because I'm always in the habit of sort of checking these Dame-Zumari points, and I'm really happy I did, because what I discovered,
that's a nasty one.
What I discovered was if I play it like this, white goes here and the whole corner is Seki.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. No, I'll just play this one. And then I realize white throws in and turns and the corner's still Seki. So if white cuts, it's a 4 Seki, and now all of a sudden, instead of winning by 4.5, I lose by 27.
Right.
The whole game could have been spoiled by one mistake at the very end in endgame, because I
all
don't
experienced that.
that weak point. And so I'm really happy that I find the cut, because I'm able to take the small loss and maintain the lead if white plays this.
Right.
Like it's enough that it's not going to win white the game that I missed it. But there are many cases where if the game is close enough in endgame, a miss like that could be really big.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so I mean, this is obviously Kata's like just playing out what his Katago doesn't resign, so it's going to play out whatever it thinks in endgame might have a chance to win. But yeah, that A Aji is really nasty if you're not in the habit of actually checking details. And like this is where teaching can become detrimental for a stronger player, because we use a lot of like, I don't know if like mnemonic is the right phrase for it, but we take a lot of shortcuts in thinking.
Yeah.
Things like 8 points is alive unconditionally, or you know, things like that, and where we're not in the habit of like double checking, because who would think that white A would actually turn into anything when it looks like one half of the group has an eye and the other half is going to make eyes while it's chasing down the board. It's very easy for a stronger player that's not in the habit of reading to just reflexively connect, because I almost did it.
Yeah.
And I would have lost on the spot if that happened.
Now, so, I would have caught this, but the reason is when I play at B, it uses up all my liberties.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, oh, I've been burned so many times with using up my liberties. I'd go, oh, just a second.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I live streamed this game when I played it, and you can actually see the reaction in real time on the video. I'm hovering over B like, oh, I guess I'll just connect.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a minute. And then I hover over the cut and I'm thinking to myself, okay, cut Atari, push it down. I was like, wait a minute, that's a Seki. Okay, no way, there's got to be something else. And I'm like, R16, throw in, capture, turn, S19, R. And I was like, oh my God, it's a Seki. Yeah. So
okay, good.
Yeah. So this was the one that I won. Maybe next Thursday, or
maybe
even
next
today,
week we'll look at the one.
Yeah.
I looked at that one. I'm like, why in the world would we play there? That's a mistake. Okay. Well, thank you for showing us.
Playing Katago induces some anxiety, you know.
Yes, it does.
As it slowly sucks the soul out of your entire existence while it plays you.
Viewers, thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful to everybody. At least get something out of it. Sometimes I get worried because we tend to go on and on about small details, but this is high level stuff, so you just have to expect that.
I think thanks,
viewers.
The high level players probably appreciate it.
There you go.
Because it's hard to find, I feel like, quality Go content that will go over the differences of K4 and K3.
Yeah.
You know, it's just an example. That kind of literature still doesn't really exist in modern Go. It's just kind of something that people chuck up to, oh, you'll play it and learn it as you go type of thing. It's not really something that gets easily explained. One thing that
just like he's not done. Go ahead.
No, if you can close it out. This next point was mostly just for me, you, and George.